Secretary McCord, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Morgan. Great to be here.
So I do want to start with the fact that, and I realize you're probably still parsing through some of the details, but we got the draft of this omnibus package for fiscal 2022 finally overnight. Does it deliver what the department needs?
I've had just a little bit of time to look at it, and yes, I think we're pretty pleased. I'm pretty pleased with what I saw so far. First of all, just by its existence, right? It's been a long time coming. We've really been a little discouraged having it take this long. This year is the 5th longest CR in the department's history. So one of the longest waits for funding, nearly halfway through the fiscal year. Looks like an increase of about $30 billion above the original request. So very much in line with the authorizing bill that the president signed right around Christmas. Strong support in the investment side for modernizing the department. That's where it looks like most of the additional funding went above our request. Not making the department bigger in terms of people, but more investing in more modern systems. And of course, and then attached to that was supplemental for Ukraine. I just want to mention that because the administration worked on that very rapidly over the last 10 days or so, really only finalized it within the last week or so. The Congress has had to look at it. We asked for about $10 billion, split between DOD and the State Department roughly evenly. They came back with about $13.5 billion, still roughly split between DOD and State, with the big increase being in the authority to supply lethal defensive weaponry to the people of Ukraine as they're resisting Russian aggression, and then the ability for the Defense Department to have money to replenish the things that we're giving them, whether it's javelins or Stinger missiles or body armor, any other things like that. So very much in line with what I saw watching the State of the Union address last week. Strong bipartisan support for the people of Ukraine reflected in this supplemental, which is attached to this omnibus. So, yeah, a welcome development, and I really think that combined with this, when we pivot to the budget that we're going to submit hopefully later this month, that we're going to see hopefully turn a corner and get out of this period of delays and see more robust, more stable bipartisan consensus around defense spending.
There does seem to be this expectation growing that we're going to continue to see defense spending increase. And as you just mentioned with fiscal 2023 request coming in the coming weeks, can you give us any sort of sense on what the department is going to be requesting in terms of those numbers and how that counters inflation, which is also running at 40-year highs? Right.
We spend most of our time when we're building a budget looking at particular capabilities and do we have enough, and if we need to make a move in certain area like space or ISR, well, what is the right program to pick, where to put your chips within a particular portfolio looking across. But one of the things that I focus on from my perspective was the pricing increase. And to use the simple analogies of which I am fond, when we go through and build a budget, we're going through with a shopping cart and saying, I'd like one of these and 2 of those, I'd like more here. When we get to the checkout line, all the prices are wrong, however, because all the things that people the programs that were in existence were priced over a year ago before the inflation surge really hit. And so my concern has been that we not get to the checkout line and find that we can't afford what's in there, or that we can't actually execute that program because everything is priced a little bit under. Obviously, things are going to, within a budget of $700 billion, some things are going to be, there's always changes that you need to make when you actually execute the budget. But you can't go in there with everything underpriced. It would be a nightmare to try and, execute efficiently spending where everything you couldn't really get on contract and get the full capability that you intended because everything was priced wrong. So that was the big effort of mine as we worked with the Office of Management and Budget in the White House to finalize this budget, which is basically now finalized. It's not going to hit the street for a couple weeks, but we believe we're done. We believe we're done with it, and getting the pricing right inside that was important. We are not, and I know one thing I think that I've seen in public commentary a little bit, we do not use the CPI that is not reflective of the goods and services, the mix of goods and services the Defense Department buys. So we don't have a 7% inflation problem to deal with in the Department of Defense.
Okay.